You are Locked On Wolves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I hope you watch that one live because that's going to go down as the game of the year for the Wolves. Epic 19-point comeback against the Spurs, 104-103. That's your final. What's going on back in the lab, back at it. Another T-Wolves postcast right here, Locked On Sports Podcast Network. Thanks to you guys, number one sports podcast network, by the way, Jack Borman, Wolves expert, NBA expert. Give him a follow on X at JRBorman13, Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. And, of course, make sure you follow our guy, Ben Beacon, as well. He'll have a lot to talk about after this one. Host of the Locked On Timberwolves show each and every day. Jack, so much to get into. Game MVP, biggest X factor, what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Just off the top, though, I don't even want to tee you up, man. I just want to jump right into it. 19-point comeback, down 17 in the fourth. Everybody made plays down the stretch. It felt like no Finch either, by the way. And we just watched the game of the year thus far. You witnessed it live. You're at the Target Center. Talk to me about the electric atmosphere tonight. And also, I mean, what's a win like that against a Spurs team, mind you, mean for this Wolves team specifically, Jack?
Yeah. Sorry if I can't hear you as well tonight because this place
Crazy.
Was absolutely on fire. My ears are still ringing. It was deafeningly loud inside Target Center here tonight. This crowd was unbelievable. I think, especially from kind of the middle of the third quarter, they kind of sensed that the Spurs offensively were slipping and the Wolves just needed a jolt of energy. And this crowd absolutely brought it in the entire second half. It's one of those nights where, for me personally, I'm just super grateful to be able to do what I do and be at all these games and sit where I do, because this was just an unbelievable basketball game. And I think you got to give, again, the Timberwolves a lot of credit. Couldn't have played worse yesterday defensively. Spurs eke out a really good win in Boston. So they came into this one 2.5 games ahead of the Wolves in the standings. So Minnesota knew that this was a huge game. And I mean, they absolutely delivered. The tank definitely was on empty, but they did have a rest advantage in this game. I mean, the Timberwolves played at 12 yesterday. The Spurs played at 6 yesterday.
Good note there, yeah.
And they had to fly from Boston to Minneapolis, which is a really tough back-to-back. But, I mean, just starting at the very end of this game, 6 lead changes in the final 3 minutes and 16 seconds. And I want to touch on Anthony Edwards right away off the top. I mean, we've talked about Ant settling like crazy these last few years, at least in the regular season, and it's kind of been a proven playoff riser, but that's never really translated to regular season late game performance. And now it just feels like every time he has the ball in his hands in the clutch that something good is going to happen. Anthony Edwards came into this game shooting 70% from the floor in clutch time situations, which is by far the best shooting percentage of anyone with at least 30 field goal attempts. Next highest is VJ Edgecombe at 59%, which is crazy for a rookie. But Ant goes 4 for 5 for 9 points in the final 5 minutes and 18 seconds, when the game was all within 5 points. Had 2 go-ahead baskets in the final 2 minutes, 19 seconds, made both of those attempts. So I just think the way that he's just totally ascended into this, I said it the other night, I'll continue to say, just like a comprehensive superstar, and that there's nothing that he can't do on the floor. Played amazing defense for most of this game on Stephon Castle, who was god-awful in this game in terms of his impact on the floor. He had 11 points, missed 9 shots, had 7 turnovers. I mean, Anthony Edwards gets a ton of credit there, so it was a two-way thing for him. And then again, with Wemby on a minutes restriction, about 26, 27 minutes. Fox, Castle, Harper, all 3 of those guys struggled offensively this entire game. You'd think the Wolves would have been in a really good spot to win this game pretty easily, but Wolves made it hard on themselves like they tend to. 14 of 25 from the free throw line, 56%. But again, you got to give the guys a ton of credit for the mental fortitude they displayed to overcome that. And the way that they, still D'd up and played really great defense on that guard trio. I mean, they shot 8 of 35 from the floor. That's 23%, had 10 assists, 10 turnovers, only scored 23 points. Was awesome. And then it was just a struggle early in this game for the Timberwolves, and the way that they just totally came back from a slow start again. It is a total mental win for the Timberwolves tonight in this game, for the way that, they kind of overcame a bunch of adversity. And I think a lot of that had to do with the way that Dante DiVincenzo and Naz Reid just kept playing, right? The Timberwolves stars didn't really have it in this game early. I mean, Naz didn't have it early in this game, started, I think, 0 of 5 from the floor. But the way that those two guys just found every single 50-50 ball, made every single huge shot, I think totally sent this crowd into a frenzy that was the kind of the spark that lit the fuse in every single other Timberwolves player that was on the floor. And so I think, you got to give those guys a lot of credit. And I think too, that they totally took advantage of the non-Wemby minutes. With Wemby on the floor, he played 27 minutes even. The Spurs were plus 17. They had a 138 offensive rating, 104 defensive rating. Both those would be best in the league. Plus 34 net rating. Minnesota shot 46% from two. And in the 21 minutes flat, Victor Wembanyama was off the floor. They were a minus 18, had a 70.8 offensive rating. So their offense was 68 points worse.
Wow.
100 possessions without Wemby out there. And Minnesota shot 60% from two. I mean, it was just a totally, completely different offensive approach and attack and results for the Timberwolves. And then did a great job, again, making it tough on those three guards when Wembanyama was off the floor.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
See, now you're on the hot seat, man, because between this and biggest X factor, I feel like you could just spin the wheel. You got 2, 3, 4 legitimate options. But who are you going to go with here for tonight's player of the game for the Wolves? Who was it and why?
Yeah, for me, tonight's player of the game is Donte DiVincenzo. I think it's his first player of the game nod this season. And I think a lot of why Donte gets the defensive player of the game tonight is that he just allowed the Wolves to keep treading water. He made some threes early in the second half when the Timberwolves' energy coming out was really bad out of the locker room. I thought that the game was over at that point, truthfully. They just looked like they were totally out of gas and weren't quite right mentally. But Donte, as well as Naz, just made some threes that kept them, instead of it being a 21-point game, it was a 14-point game. And I think those types of little plays matter. Had a steal off of an inbounds that resulted in a corner three. I mean, it just felt like every single time the Wolves needed a huge shot to drop, Donte DiVincenzo was the guy who got it done. I mean, he had 19 points, made 5 of his 12 threes. You'll take that every day of the week. He had 8 defensive rebounds, which was a lot. Go back and look at a lot of his defensive rebounds. I mean, he's high pointing the ball. He's getting clobbered on the way down, hits the deck and still just finds a way to get up and make things happen. And then too, when he's not rebounding, he does a great job of coming back to the ball, looking for the ball in transition and push pace in a really great way that set up a lot of awesome transition and semi-transition possessions for the Timberwolves. And in a lot of those moments, he had 7 assists tonight, and a lot of them came in those types of possessions. And then he also had 4 stocks, so he was really active defensively. Didn't have a great time in the first half matching up against Champagny, but when he Champagny really turned his water off in the second half, and then the reps that he had guarding De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, just really competed, and that's all you can ask for a guy. And I think those types of guys in your team that just play super hard every single night. There are going to be nights where that type of energy rubs off on the team when everyone else doesn't really have it, and is enough to kind of keep a team in the game by yourself. And we've seen Nickeil Alexander-Walker do that a ton for the Timberwolves in years past, and Donte DiVincenzo has kind of taken that mantle this season, and it's been really fun to see.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
They lose the first, second, and third quarter. They're down 17 a minute or two into the fourth, I want to say. And then it's like, okay, let the games begin. Things got so wild, so heated, so kind of ramped up, Jack. The Rudy Gobert sequence and foul and tech, we'll talk about that a little bit more with Victor Wembanyama. But walk me through it here. You were there. You were live. Was there, one moment, one sequence, I guess, that really ended up feeling like kind of the difference for the Wolves tonight?
Yeah, for me, it was when Naz Reid made his first 3 of the game at the 3:31 mark of the third quarter. And that, I think, everybody in Target Center kind of looked around at each other and said, this team can win this game, right? And I think when the fans kind of start to believe on that level and pump that much energy into the building, it just makes you fight even harder than you can. It allows you to go, let the gas tank run past E defensively and just dig a little deeper, find those extra ounces of energy to compete on that end of the floor. And so, there's Donte and Naz. Those are 2 guys that ignite the crowd in a way that pretty much the only guy who can do that is Anthony Edwards. And so I think when the crowd really got behind Nas, made that first three, then made two more in the final couple minutes of that third quarter, again, it's kind of like that treading water, right? The Spurs wanted to push it to 20, and Nas just didn't let that happen. Kept it right around, in that 10 to 14 point range nearing the end of the fourth quarter. And then, those two guys, and Bones Highland too, played excellent basketball, especially in the offensive end of the floor in the early parts of that fourth quarter to just buy them enough time when Anthony Edwards was kind of biding his time, refueling for the fourth quarter push. So I thought, between those two guys, they were absolutely unbelievable. Again, I think I had it in here. Yeah, the two of those guys combined for 36 points, 8 made threes, 9 assists, 20 rebounds, and 7 stocks. And so I think when you have two bench guys that are willing to fight like that, it's only a matter of time before your stars are able to come through and make enough plays to get to the end. And that's certainly what happened.
Biggest X factor, what we'll be talking about tomorrow as well. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Monarch Money. You ever go check your bank account and go, where'd my money go? Dining out, online shopping, entertainment. So easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Not just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, your spending. It's all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and instead you start building some wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com. You're getting 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA. Half off your entire first year. This episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, without a doubt, most fun I have playing daily fantasy. You can win up to 25 times your money this NBA season. Why I love it. It's just so easy to play. All you got to do, you select 2 or more players. You pick more or less on their projected stats. Could be points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers. You name it, they got it. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Right now, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA. First deposit match up to $100. Promo code LockedOnNBA at prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. 100% bonus match up to $100. All right, Jack, let's get into the biggest X factor before we get into what we'll be talking about here.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
Man, a couple different directions you could go here. I don't envy you tonight. Just knowing the way this one kind of played out late and so many monster huge plays at the end. Felt like so many guys stepped up. So many guys contributed. Again, a monster play or two down the stretch. But, yeah, man, got to pick one. Biggest X factor for the Wolves tonight, Jack. Who was it and why?
Yeah, it was Julius Randle. His defense and physicality on the offensive end of the floor was just absolutely tremendous late. I mean, Julius Randle, you could have turned this game on for the first 3 quarters and had no idea that Julius Randle played in this game. I mean, that was the type of impact that he had in the first 3 quarters. But again, it's kind of the theme of the night, the mental fortitude of all these guys to just kind of put poor first halves or poor first 3 quarters behind them and lock in when the situation demands it was incredible. And Julius Randle was the prime example of that tonight. I mean, Randle had took the Victor Wembanyama assignment in the fourth quarter with Rudy Gobert, picks up that flagrant foul. So he'll be suspended for the game on Tuesday in Milwaukee because it's his 5th flagrant foul point of the year. And so after that, I mean, he turns to Julius Randle. And what does Julius Randle do? He holds Victor Wembanyama to 0 of 4 from the floor, plays perfect defense on that final Spurs offensive possession to make it about as difficult as you can. I mean, you can't play defense on a Victor Wembanyama shot. I mean, his release point is higher than any player in the NBA can feasibly get to. I mean, some of these shots he's releasing his apex is 11 feet, from the tip of his finger to where he releases 11 feet. I mean, it's crazy. You just can't get up there. And so everything, Mike Honori said this before the game, that all you can do is play defense to the gather. And that's what Julius Randle did. He made Victor Wembanyama extremely uncomfortable. He was super physical with him. He's giving up 9 inches on Victor Wembanyama, which is crazy considering that Randle is a big, strong, physical dude, but got up underneath his chest, made him really uncomfortable, and really made it difficult for Wembanyama to be able to put the ball on the ground at all and get any sort of steam going towards the rim. And so I think the big thing for Julius Randle defensively is he can do it. he absolutely can do it. He has the physique, he has the stamina, which I don't think he gets enough credit for, is that he's in great shape. He plays in damn near every single game, which for his faults, that goes a long way with me, especially. And so now it's just how many times can Randall do it, right? I think he's a really capable on-ball guy, especially against some of these opposing 4 or 5 stars like Wembanyama is. It's just some of his off-ball awareness. Like he got back cut 2 or 3 times by Spurs players for easy buckets. And so for Randall, it's just about the attention to detail and the focus over the course of a 48-minute game, because he shows his potential. I mean, it's the same thing with Ant, right? They both show their potential in terms of what they can do. It's just a matter of following through and doing it. Because when it comes together the way that it did tonight, it's super special stuff. And Randall was awesome. And then you parlay that with his offensive rebounding on the other end of the floor. I mean, he had 2 huge putbacks. One of them was an and one. They both tied the game at the different times in which he had those. And so I think for Randall, that was a super important part of the Timberwolves having, I believe, 10 second chance points in the second half, after getting completely blanked on the offensive, on the second chance scoreboard in the first half. So for what Randall did was incredible. And then for him, again, like I said, had a really poor first 3 quarters, but locked in, was super clean with the basketball, kind of, played within the flow, got off of it, made a bunch of really good passes, and didn't kind of devolve into ISO ball. So you couldn't have asked for anything more for Julius Randle becoming just like a mega star role player in this game. It was fun to see him take on that role and really star in it.
I'm not sure what's better, watching Julius Randle or watching them pan over to his kid, who's just going absolutely bananas. I know a lot of times you're at home, you're at the Target Center during the home games. You might not see it as much, but man.
I do. He's right there. I mean, I think I was the person. Dude.
I love the person
who was the first person to point out that every time Dante DiVincenzo makes a 3,
you were all over that.
In it. At Kaiden. So it's
I love how organic that bit has become, by the way. A couple quick hitters for you. Jaden McDaniels is a guy we should absolutely shout out tonight as well. Made a couple monster just clutch plays in the second half. Also shout out Micah Nori as well. Any other noteworthy observations you kind of got in the tank again after the game of the year?
Yeah, I think for Jaden McDaniels, he had just some sneaky, really huge defensive plays in the second half, in the fourth quarter, especially. I mean, Jaden McDaniels had 2 steals and 2 blocks in the fourth quarter alone. So I think he just had super opportune plays at the right times. And I just love the way that a lot of his defensive plays are just very loud in a way that give guys energy. And I think, people have fixated a little bit on Jaden not being quite as good on the ball this year, which is a fair critique. But I mean, Jaden McDaniels is one of the best help side rim protectors in the entire NBA. And the Timberwolves have effectively played him as a backup center defensively a decent amount in some of these Nas, Julius front court lineups as a way to just protect the rim a little bit better. And so that's also part of the reason why maybe you haven't seen as many, Johan Berenger minutes as well. But I mean, it was just special stuff from Jaden. Then had a super nice fall away jump shot over Wembanyama that was super important to give the Wolves a lead with 49 seconds left. I mean, go ahead shot plus 4 stocks in the fourth quarter. That's pretty special stuff.
All right, let's get into what we'll be talking about here tomorrow.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Jack, I just feel like if the good news is, they put together this wild comeback win against a top-tier Western Conference opponent as well. The bad news would maybe have to be Rudy Gobert's eventual suspension, next game. That's this Tuesday night in Milwaukee. Quick thoughts on that and kind of the ripple effect, just top of your head without doing a deep dive yet for the Wolves with that matchup in Milwaukee specifically.
Yeah, I think for Rudy Gobert, I mean, he's been really effective when they build the wall against Giannis. So not having him is going to be super unfortunate. Would not surprise me whatsoever if Johan Berenger gets a little rotation minutes with Rudy Gobert being out in this game. I could also just see Jaden McDaniels playing at center, but I also think that with TJ Shannon not being available, I think that you might see Johan Berenger play over Joe Ingles. So that's something that could be really interesting. But yeah, it was his 5th flagrant foul point of the year for Rudy Gobert. So he'll be suspended for Tuesday's game in Milwaukee, which is a bummer. They're really the only downside of this big time win. But I think you'll just be talking about the way that I think the Timberwolves have the horses that you need to be able to match up with this Spurs team. And it's also important to note that the Spurs don't really have anybody that can guard Anthony Edwards. And you'd say, oh, well, Wemby out there makes it interesting. And it does. But Anthony Edwards said, may I have this dance in the center of the floor at the end of the game, and took him to the hole for a bucket. So it's just, I would love to see 7 games of this in the playoffs. It was an awesome basketball game. And hopefully the Wolves can kind of continue this run they've been on against Eastern Conference on Tuesday in Milwaukee. But I think they're going to have to really dig deep and collectively play super well without Rudy Gobert. And I think Julius Randle, again, could see Giannis as his matchup in that game. Yeah. So it'll be a good opportunity for Julius Randle to come out and build on what was in the best defensive performance for my money that I've ever seen, especially in one quarter as a Minnesota Timberwolf.
Yeah, great encore opportunity nonetheless for Julius. Join us for that, of course. T-Wolves, though, with the wildest fourth quarter of the year. They stunned the Spurs with that epic 19-point comeback, 104-103. That's your final, 26-14 now on the year. Much love to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat. Chat was on fire tonight. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go follow Jack, too, at Borman13. And again, we'll catch you back here Tuesday on the road in Milwaukee, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. tip for that. Until then, though, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.